Tonight, a Caledon man speaks out after his parents were shot and killed.
Community should know what happening in Canada, right? So we should also demand justice.
His sister was also shot and survived. Now he's asking if police knew his family was at risk before the shooting. Plus,
it's been a very difficult time in terms of the uncertainty.
A downtown community is coming together to save the only mosque on Yonge Street as they face financial troubles. And
please don't take my sunshine.
They were given almost no chance of survival at birth, but a set of Ajax twins beat the odds. We check in to find out how they're doing nearly 2 years after their miracle birth. Thanks for joining us. We're learning new details about a shooting in Caledon last month that left a mother and father visiting from India dead and their daughter in hospital with serious injuries. The couple's son is speaking out tonight. Greg Ross has more.
Chilling details about a triple shooting in Caledon last month, along with pictures of the victims, have been posted on signs outside of this home where it happened.
It's more than a month, so we have not heard anything.
Gurdeep Singh Sidhu is the person who posted those signs. His mother and father were both killed in the shooting. His sister is still in hospital more than a month later with life-threatening injuries.
My sister shot 13 times, my mother 22 times, and my father died at spot.
He says his family is now looking for answers, which is the reason for the signs.
Community should know what happening in Canada, right? So we should also demand justice.
The shooting happened on November 20th. According to police, multiple shots were fired inside this home on Mayfield Road shortly before midnight.
As you can see, there are bullet holes on the door.
Sukhwinder Singh is a family friend who was living in the basement of the home at the time. He says he ran upstairs when he heard the shots.
When I was opening this door, I was just about here in the stairs and I saw a person running out from that door, the main door. Well, I didn't got a look at him because I just only see his back and he was wearing the hoodie.
He says that person jumped into the passenger seat of a black pickup truck waiting in the driveway and then sped off along Mayfield Road. Police have released these pictures of a truck believed to be involved. They say they're looking for multiple suspects. Sidhu says he has no idea why they came to his home that night.
I was very shocked this thing happened.
He says there is one thing that has raised his suspicion. 4 days before the shooting, he says a homicide detective from Peel Police came to his home. His parents were the only ones there at the time, and he says they were asked to show ID.
They see my mother passport and my father passport there. So they also ask who is living here, for how long they are living here, something like that.
We reached out to Peel Police. They have not confirmed whether or not a homicide detective visited the Sidhu's home that day. Sidhu wonders if there's a connection.
Why did they come before the incident? They must know something.
Sidhu says his parents were innocent bystanders who had come from India to visit him and his sister for a few months. Now he's grieving their death and praying that his sister will recover.
It will take a very long time to recover her, but still, if she survives, it's also a miracle, right?
Greg Ross, CBC News, Caledon.
A fourth person has been arrested in connection with the stabbing of an off-duty Toronto police officer. Police say they've arrested a 48-year-old in connection with the attack this month. The officer was attempting to stop a retail robbery in the city's East End when he was stabbed in the wrist. The officer suffered serious injuries but is recovering. 48-year-old Preston Caledine of Toronto was arrested yesterday. He faces a number of charges, including aggravated assault of a peace officer. Last week, police arrested another suspect in the incident after a wild pursuit through city streets. And a man has been arrested in connection with a fatal crash involving a dump truck in November. It happened on the morning of November 13th near Dufferin and Eglinton. A 53-year-old man was hit by a dump truck and taken to hospital where he died. The 31-year-old driver, who is from Brampton, stayed at the scene. Today, police say he's been charged with dangerous operation of a conveyance causing death. A Muslim community in Toronto worries it'll lose its mosque if it doesn't collect enough money to buy it. The Toronto Islamic Centre has been operating on Yonge Street for over a decade. It relies heavily on the community for donations and is putting out a call for help. Anam Khan has the story.
It was once an old Shoppers Drug Mart, but now this building on Yonge Street is home to the Toronto Islamic Centre. And those who frequent this space say it means a lot to them.
If this masjid wasn't here, I wouldn't have learned how to play soccer. I wouldn't have learned lots of history. I wouldn't have learned lots of things about Islam. I would have lost so much. I've made many friends here.
The mosque has been on Yonge Street for over a decade. It used to be located at another building on Yonge Street. But when the community outgrew the space and the building's lease expired in 2019, it was moved to its current location. Shortly after, the management decided to buy the new space for $9 million to have a permanent home. Now, they're working to pay that off, but they've run into challenges.
Because we're an Islamic center, part of our faith, we're not allowed to deal with interest.
Shafni Nalir says the center borrows money from the community that sees about 1,000 people weekly. And through borrowed money, it paid off $2.5 million. Tomorrow, it'll pay another $500,000. Nalir says there's always a sense of uncertainty that looms over how the center will come up with its next payment. But the community often pulls through. He says just 2 weeks ago, the center said it was short and a man walked in with a check of $100,000.
We're deeply rooted in our faith and believing that if we try our best, then we're sure that somehow those funds will come.
Asad Chowdhury says he has seen people thrive in the last decade of visiting the center, whether it's helping refugees, the homeless, and those struggling financially, regardless of their ethnic or religious background.
This is something very local. It's very well rooted into the bigger Canadian culture.
Those who run the center and spend time here say it's an important space to gather and pray.
It's a place that I come like almost every single day, and if I lost it, it'd be like losing something, like a part of me kind of.
The center has to make another payment in April, and it's reaching out to the community for donations. Anam Khan, CBC News, Toronto.
And there's a live shot of the city tonight after a dreary and foggy day. Victor Paulo joins us now with the first look at the forecast and yet another wet one out there.
Talia, taking a look at the weather we had today, it was wet, it was warm, it was definitely not feeling like it should be for the final week of December. The last week of 2023 should not be this warm, and it should not be this wet with that much rain. Well, as mentioned, it was a wet, warm Thursday. We do have flurries in store for Friday, so make sure if you're on the road Friday night, you are aware that the roads might not be favorable right around after supper between then and midnight. And then once all that's said and done, we have a cooler weekend as temperatures finally start to dip. Now, average temperatures this time of year, minus 0.9 degrees Celsius is your average high, and minus 8.7 is your average low. And way back when, in 1982, it was 17 degrees on December 28th. But hey, let's talk about what we're experiencing right now, right here in 2023. More precipitation has been working its way through the GTA. A lot yesterday, even more today. And it's going to last all the way through and stop around 9 o'clock on your Fridays. You do see here. And as when it stops, it's going to be mixed in with a bit of rain, a bit of mix of rain and flurries as well. So there is a chance there will be some slippery roads right around then. But looking at our 3-day forecast, one thing we can note is right after this precipitation right here, you can see the temperatures slowly start to drop as we get ourselves geared up for the final day of 2023. Stay tuned to Tally and I for the rest of your 3- and 7-day forecast.
Thanks, Victor. Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown is calling on the Canada Border Services Agency to do more to stop rising auto thefts in the region. At a year-end press conference, he calls the spike in thefts one of the things that keeps him up at night.
If you have a bucket that's leaking water, you have to focus on the leak. And right now the leak is CBSA. It's the ports. You're seeing cars that are being stolen in the GTA, and 5 or 6 hours later, they're on a shipping container going outside of the country.
Brown adds Peel Police will be focusing on that, plus solving a string of extortion attempts targeting local South Asian-owned businesses in the new year. He says next year will see the largest ever increase in Peel's police budget, with 135 new uniformed officers joining the service. The proposed budget is 14% higher than in 2023. While the new year is looking a little more affordable for transit users, at least, the province is announcing its new One Fare program, which means riders will be able to transfer to and from the GO train for free. Ali Chiasson has more on that.
What's the one thing that could make a big difference, at least on your wallet, when taking transit to get in and out of town? How about one fare?
I think it would be very useful for students who have to go to campus like at least 5 times a week.
Like Zubaita Rifaf, who pays to take not just one, but 2 TTC buses.
How are you? Really nice to meet you.
Just to get to the GO train, where she pays another fare.
This little budget calculation, like, is it worth me going to campus today, or should I just skip class just to like save a few dollars here and there?
You shouldn't have to do that.
We are tracked to make sure we deliver the one fare program that people have been waiting for such a long time.
By 2024, your commute should cost you just the first fare you pay on a local transit service. And for connections on GO trains, you're just paying the GO fare.
Our government is fully funding this program so that we can subsidize, so the rider get that benefit, so they don't have to no more pay double fare or triple fare. So moving forward, they'll be only paying one fare.
It wouldn't only apply to the TTC and GO.
Starting early 2024, we will incorporate TTC, GO, YRT, Durham Region Transit, My Way, and Brampton Transit as well.
The most important thing is that the provincial government subsidizes this because right now the TTC is having a financial, it's in a financial crisis.
Transit advocacy organization TTC Riders points out one fare is one thing, investing in improving the transit system is another.
About 13% of transit users using the TTC aren't Toronto residents. The provincial government needs to be doing their part to chip in for the TTC because people from all over the region are using it.
Anywhere along Zubaita Rifaf's hour-long commute from Scarborough to U of T downtown, something can break down. Buses, streetcars, subways can be delayed, diverted, or full.
You have to like take 2 buses down just to get to the GO station. So the likelihood of like a slip up happening for the first mile, it's not uncommon.
Yeah.
And it just makes it worse.
And makes Zubaita sometimes 30 minutes late to class. But this one fare is one win she's happy to have.
I don't want you to miss your train.
All right,
so
yeah, sounds good.
Thank you so much for chatting with us.
No worries, yeah, thank you. Nice meeting you, take care.
Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
A pair of twins with a pair of Guinness World Records are now thriving. The youngest and lightest premature babies on record were born nearly 2 years ago, beating the odds of survival. As Dale Manukduk explains, their parents hope more families are given the same opportunity.
Hello.
On March 2nd, 2022, I went into labor while only 21 weeks and 5 days pregnant. At the local community hospital that I was admitted to, we were told that we would lose the babies as they would be born that same day and they were not viable, so they would not survive and no efforts could be done to keep them alive.
Shortly after, a friend messaged me and sent me this Instagram video of a mom who had gone into gestation at the same gestational age and a second picture of her with 3-year-old twins now thriving. And so for me, that was my sign of hope. And through getting in touch with her, I found out also about Mount Sinai, which is a hospital that helps resuscitate preemies at that age.
And this account is called 22 Matters. They're an organization that advocates for 21-weekers and 22-weekers to be given life-sustaining measures. 1 hour after midnight on March 4th, 2022, when I crossed into the 22 weeks and 0 days mark in my pregnancy. Dia was born first at 1:22 a.m. She weighed 330 grams. And Adriel was born 23 minutes later, and he weighed 420 grams. They received the Guinness World Record, actually 2 Guinness World Records, one for being the most premature twins in the world to have survived to that age, and secondly for being the lightest twins in the world.
Please don't take my sunshine.
There are things that they have to work harder than other babies on. So, things like even crawling, sitting up, learning how to stand on their own. Good job, baby!
They both have very dynamic personalities and it's starting to emerge day by day.
That's okay.
So considering everything that they have been through, they're doing really well. They're both very active. They love climbing, crawling. Adriel is an explorer. We can't get him to stop climbing all over the furniture. Adia is very sweet. She's a little bit more shy and reserved, but once you get to know her, she is very loving.
I have to bake my grandma a cake. It makes her very proud.
Over this past year, we've had multiple chances to even talk to medical professionals around the world at conferences to raise awareness about the viability of babies born at that age, and this can have important policy changes.
We do hope this is a record that is broken, because that would mean that more babies are given the opportunity to live and thrive.
Slicing his way right through that Knicks defense this time.
It was a good year for basketball star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and now another honor to cap off 2023. He's been named Male Athlete of the Year by the Canadian Press. The 25-year-old had a breakout season in the NBA and led Canada to a men's basketball World Cup medal. Swimmer Summer McIntosh was named the Female Athlete of the Year. The Governor-General has announced new appointments to one of Canada's highest honours. Order of Canada recipients today include broadcaster George Stroumboulopoulos. He's been recognized for his contributions to Canadian media and journalism. Another former CBC broadcaster is also joining the exclusive club. Bronwyn Draney was the editor-in-chief of the Literary Review of Canada. The awards will be handed out in the new year. It's been quite a journey for Chantal Miller to make it as a painter. The artist has opened her first exhibition in Markham, where she grew up. Her show, A Legacy Unfolding, is on now at the Varley Art Gallery. The paintings are portraits, but they capture moments in time with a bright palette. Fresh Air host Ismaila Alpha spoke with Miller at the gallery.
Here we are in Varley Art Gallery. What was your reaction when you found out that this gallery in your hometown of Markham was going to show your work in this way?
I was really excited and humbled that the curator, Nick, reached out to me and she wanted to do a studio visit and learn about my work, and that she'd even been paying attention to me felt really good. And now that I'm here, it feels like a homecoming. Moments have just led up to this moment and it feels right.
This one catches my eye right away. Hell in Paradise. Tell me a bit about this painting here.
Yeah, for sure. So this wall is about moments of solace within the church. And I was thinking about me personally in my own faith, how the church can feel like a prison inside, but also protect you from what's on the outside. For me in this painting, the figure is sitting with their hands clasped, looking at this undeniable red, which has like this interesting duality with the silhouette of the background, which is a landscape from a photo that I took in Jamaica earlier this year. And this individual in particular, I can typically see her just looking out the window. And she says that's how she talks to God. So this is like me capturing her in her own way, like how she presents herself.
It's amazing when a passion can drive you in that fashion, but I wonder if there were any points of frustration during that period of time where you spent these years training to be the artist that you are, and you feel like you're still kind of working towards that goal. Was there ever a point of frustration for you?
Even when I graduated from OCAD, I kind of left with this defeatist status, like this feeling of like, how am I going to make this work truthfully?
I want to ask you about something very specifically in this painting over here, because though these are, everyone's still in the painting, it feels like there's motion in this. It feels like there's energy being moved around as well. But I have to admit, what really got me is on this woman on the far left, the baby hairs that you've painted in for. Is this part of the growth that you were talking about that you had in over these past few years as far as building your techniques?
Yeah, it's the subtleties. You know, I like to paint people as I see them. I try not to change too much, aside from like color, really.
It's been wonderful to meet you and to get a little chance to pick your brain about your paintings here. Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me and for the questions. I really appreciate it and thank you.
Victa's back now with our extended forecast, and those mild temperatures are happening in other regions too.
Taking a look at the map of North America here, we can see a couple of things. Now, one thing to note, if I do take a look this way, you can notice a lot of that blue is remaining near that Arctic Circle. Whitehorse -13, Yellowknife -12. Now, why do I mention that? Because a lot of the country, all the way from central Ontario, all the way through to BC, is above seasonal temperatures right now. That 11 degrees in Vancouver, 10 degrees in Calgary, 7 degrees in Edmonton, 7 degrees in Toronto. We're expecting temperatures which are more in the negatives. As this is wintertime, this is the final week of 2023. But speaking of temperatures and watches and warnings around the area, well, right now in the GTA, similar to last night and this morning, there will be fog building up overnight, but it will be all set and clear by the time our morning starts tomorrow. Now, when it comes to tonight, it's going to be around 6 degrees, feeling like 4 degrees, and there is a chance of rain. And the reason I say rain, because, well, right here, 3 o'clock in the morning, more rain here in the GTA. Is it ever going to stop? Well, the answer is yes. The rain will eventually stop. When will it stop? Well, closer to after supper on your Fridays, you do see right around 9 o'clock. That's when we're going to get a mix of that rain, mix of flurries. But as we get closer to midnight, you can see that eventually clears up. And Saturday's going to be our first day in a long time being able to experience that little bit of sun and a little bit of cloud. Because it's been a long time since we had that over here. But no better time than Saturday, the last day before the final day of the year. Now, here's what we're expecting as you get closer to New Year's itself. It's going to be mainly sun and cloud for all of your Saturday, but as you get closer to Sunday, one thing to note, the temperatures will be dropping around a high of 1 degree. And with that low, there is a chance that there's a 40% chance that it will be snowing later on in that afternoon. Now, how much rain are we going to be expecting between now and, let's say, midday Saturday? Well, around 12 millimeters of rain expected to fall in the GTA. Nothing like that 21 in Kingston, and definitely not that like 1 millimeter over in Windsor. But here's what we can see when it looks at our 3 and 7 day forecast. We get through that little bit of precipitation here on Friday. Saturday, you can see a day we could finally get that sun and cloud coming our way. And Sunday's going to be a high of 1 degree and a low of -3 with a 40% chance of precipitation. And here's your Monday to start off 2024. It's going to be a low of -1, a low of -4, correction, and a high of -1. And we get right back up to closer to above seasonal temperatures on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But until then, have yourselves a great night, and over to you, Talia.
Thanks, Victa. That's our show for you tonight. Thanks so much for watching. All of your next local newscasts tomorrow at 6. Good night.